if you can't quit the P word or you're constantly bombarded by lustful thoughts, I want to let you know that Scripture tells us that successful men are often the ones that deal with this, from David to Solomon to Samson. For the last 4 years after opening the door to Unchained Leader, we've seen a very similar pattern of what's described in here, of guys coming in that are from every major sports league that you can imagine, the MLB, the NBA. These aren't just guys that sit on the bench. These are guys that are on the cover of magazines. We have guys that are as high up in the military as you can possibly get. We have CEOs that you would know the names of, and also famous pastors that have come in that if I told you the name, you would know who they are. And we're actually gonna walk you through Scripture of like where it actually outlines all of this stuff. And so maybe this is something that you've been asking for an answer for quite some time. And I want you to consider that maybe you're not seeing this video by coincidence, but by design. And here's the thing, you're not going to know or not unless you investigate. And so what I want you to do is go ahead and click the link below, register, and watch that video. And the first thing you're gonna see inside of that video is actually documentation and videos from other men, not just 1, 2, or 3, but multiple men that have been walking through a very similar battle that you may be fighting right now. They're gonna talk about all the things that they tried that did not work and what finally changed the game for them and started to lead them in a direction where they can finally walk in freedom without being tormented and distracted by all of these things. One of the things that guys say when they come through this video is they start to gain clarity of how this really bleeds into all areas of their life, from being a father and a husband to a business owner to a leader inside of their church and community to even just being a good friend to other people. And they start to realize how this actually affects their ability to connect with other men in a deep and meaningful way, the way that's described in here from a brotherhood standpoint. And so it's cool because when you watch that video by clicking the link below, you're gonna see a process that's been trusted by over 9,000 other men. And I can't describe to you the feeling of walking through the door of a program like this and being exposed to the fact that there really are over 9,000 other men that are struggling with the exact same things that, for me, I thought that I was the only one for most of my life. And maybe you felt like, you know, either you're the only one or like one of the few. And man, it's just it's a deception straight from our adversary. And when you actually start to take steps forward in truth, which is gonna take a leap of faith, and it's very difficult, and you should feel some resistance around it right now, but I want you to consider that on the other side of resistance is freedom. And we see that pattern over and over and over again. Take a leap of faith, register for the video, and see if God shows up and listen to what he has to say. And maybe it's an answer to some stuff that you've been asking for answers for who knows how long. And so I want to ask you just one last question. What is it worth to live a life no longer plagued by this? Is 60 minutes of your time worth potentially discovering the one thing that could move you into a state of life where you're not bombarded and chained up by all of these things that you know have been limiting you for who knows how long? Is 60 minutes of your time worth potentially discovering that and living a life in freedom? And so if the answer is yes, I want you to click the link below, register, watch that video right now, and I will see you in the video.
Hi, I'm Ryan Reynolds, and welcome to my mountain television software demo stunt.
Let's be clear, there's a full medical team.
Milk, that ad real time.
I got it. When's it gonna melt out?
About 10 or 15 minutes
How
of
long's
this.
it been?
You got ice cubes?
I've never had an experience like that. Did I get the lines for you?
You got the lines perfectly. I'm so sorry. Today, we'll learn why Mountain is the hardest working software in television by demonstrating how brands big and small are using it to transform their marketing. Of course, that sounds like it could be pretty boring. So I thought, what if someone ate a Carolina Reaper right before doing the demo.
I thought I was here to promote my small business using Mountain's platform.
Oh, you are. You are, but we'd also like to see you eat the peppers.
Only because I love you.
Love you too, Steve-O.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay, all right.
It's over 1.5 million units on the Scoville heat index.
Yeah, it's the hottest thing you can legally put in your mouth.
Yeah.
I'm chewed, I will now swallow. Woo! Swallowing, I can tell that.
Yeah, there it is,
happened.
right?
Okay.
All right, well, I think we should start. You know, Mountain is so easy that Steve here, he can flight his own TV ad. So I think you just take it away, Steve.
Okay. Mountain is a self-serve platform that makes putting an ad on television as easy as paid search or social. So it's the first platform to turn connected TV into performance TV.
This is great. Great start. How you feeling right now? You okay? Everything good?
Please don't interrupt me. I just ate a thing.
Yes, you did.
Oh, God.
I think we're good. Sorry about such a long time to take to start. Let me just check audio levels here. Alright. I think we're good. Sorry about such a long time to take to start. Alright, audio sounds good. I think we can start to play. I do want this up. Alright. Can't hear anything on this game though. Check the audio. I had it turned off, I guess. What the hell? Let me turn the audio on. Okay. A little weird. It's like really weird. What the fuck? Alright, reset the audio. There we go. Turn it down to about 20%. Alright. So gonna be checking out Aion 2 here, doing some leveling. Really haven't gotten to play much of this, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. Alright. Hear how my frames are doing today. Definitely can feel the latency today for some reason. Well, that's cool. Huh. Yeah. That's actually really cool. Alright. Looks like when you soulbound, it rolls for some kind of trait. Which is different. I haven't really seen that before. Oh yeah. Okay, we gotta kill some of these things. I can tell that inventory space is gonna run out here soon.
西塔尼耶，看精灵们的必须先在那就是如果好知道。
I got some new skills. Really need to look up some sort of build guide, because I actually have no clue what to do on that shit. See, like this stuff. Yeah, let's do that. Let's look up a quick build guide here. Alright, God, getting fucking attacked. over here. Get up here so I don't get fucking attacked. Yeah, let's do that together. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Probably not a good idea, actually.
Frontline healers, damage dealers, and support hybrids in the entire game. Right, so let's break down the active skills that define this build. The Cleric's kit revolves output while maintaining high enough mobility and the cooldown efficiency to adapt to any fight. So let's break down the active skills that define this build. The Cleric's kit revolves heavily around lightning based damage, sustain, defensive uptime and crowd control that keeps all the fights stable. At the center of your offensive rotation is Divine Hammer, which is your main single target burst skill. At higher levels, Divine Hammer will become powerful finisher that deals heavy lightning damage and scales extremely well with the crit damage, which makes it effective for both PvE bossing and PvP fights. When you use it after your CC setup, the damage spikes massively and helps you to secure kills before enemies can recover. Then our most important sustain tool is the Radiant Ward, which is the bread and butter defensive ability that grants a large shield while restoring HP over time. This ability allows you to stay on the front line, trade hits aggressively, and survive burst attempts that would normally kill other classes. The Radiant Ward should always be upgraded with the enhancements that improve shield value, cooldown reduction and the healing effect, as it forms the backbone of our survivability. Then for cleave and multi-target pressure, your main tool is the Light Burst Wave, which is a wide-range lightning AoV that strikes multiple targets and staggers enemy caught in the blast. In PvE, it melts packs of monsters, while in PvP, it becomes a zoning tool that forces enemies to respect your aerial control. With proper timing, the Light Burst Wave also sets up Divine Hammer for massive follow-up damage. Then our stagger deals crowd control that keeps all the fights stable. At the center
Alright. See if I can redo this. How much does this cost? Oh, you gotta reset them all. Okay. Let's see here. I still have to unlock these ones, but if I'm looking at this, it looks like this or this skill should be here. This honestly fucking cancer on how you lay out your skills. It's horrible. It's not fun. Okay, those are good. My Q ability seems to be okay. I think we'll swap that. This is good. Let's see here. Oh, we wanna... No, I want you here. I want you gone. And then I want to do you right here. There you go. And then that's good. And then my... A little weird, so I don't use my heavy attack? I guess it could be my heavy attack, right? See what this is even like, this little rotation. I don't think I might like it, but let's see.
Of your offensive rotation is Divine Hammer, which is your main single target burst skill. At higher levels, Divine Hammer will become powerful finisher that deals heavy lightning damage and scales extremely well with crit damage, which makes it effective for both PvE bossing and PvP fights. When you use it after your CC setup, the damage spikes massive crit damage, which makes it effective for both PvE bossing and PvP fights. When you use it after your CC setup, well with the crit damage, Divine Hammer will become ill. At higher levels, Divine Hammer will become powerful finisher that deals heavy lightning damage and scales extremely well with the crit damage, which makes it effective for both PvE bossing and PvP fights. When you use it after your CC setup, the damage spikes massively and helps you to
Let's see.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Red Cloud. A lot of people have been asking for this cleric guide, so today I'm bringing it out to you guys. It is going to be a basic cleric guide, so I'm going to be covering the general gameplay that you can expect as a cleric, what type of character the cleric is, the basic rotation as a cleric, the skills that you use as a cleric, and which ones you should prioritize while leveling and also while playing the game. And I'm going to show you guys some dungeon basics as far as like the key ways that you can play cleric in my opinion, and then also some of the stats in your gear that you're going to want to focus on, and then lastly the Divanian runes that you guys can also pick and choose from. I'm by no means a cleric expert, however I have been taking my time leveling 1 through 45. I've been understanding the rotation as well as doing quite a bit of dungeons, so I can actually understand what to expect in endgame dungeons as well. So if you guys like what you see, be sure to like the video, subscribe for more content like this, and come check out my live stream on Twitch. I'm live every day over there at twitch.tv/redcloud. Alright guys, so first things first, let's talk about Cleric and the basics of Cleric. So Cleric is actually a ranged class. It is not a melee class, even though that is a little surprising to some people. Because I do use a mace and shield. You would expect, not to do that, but it is what it is. It's a ranged class. The other thing is that Cleric essentially is a very bursty class. It does rely on cooldowns quite a lot. However, you do have quite a bit of
Holy shit.
in order to maintain, damage output and healing output. The other thing is that you are a very tough class with a lot of sustain, a lot of shielding, a lot of survivability. You can even become immune to damage, and you can even have battle res. The other thing is that you have quite a bit of CC. You can take things quite a lot. However, healers, you are very weak in the, I would say, early game of the leveling process because you are a very immobile class at the beginning of the game. However, that does fix itself later on as you're leveling. So that's the general gist of Cleric. I do think it is a fantastic healer. It feels fantastic to play, and it looks really cool and it's really satisfying. So I've been having a blast. I did say this at the beginning of the video, but I'm by no means a professional Cleric player or anything like that. If you have a better way to do something, just leave it in the comment section below. I can make a better guide later on, but this is a general video today, and I do have a good understanding of it, but again, we're all human. We can always learn a little bit more of that. So, real quick before we get into skills, I do want to let you guys know, at level 8 on all of your active skills, not on your passive skills, you get a specialty rune, which changes the class skill. Essentially, you can change the skill in order to better suit and accommodate for how you want to play the class. So our builds may differ, but in general, I have a general understanding of how I want to play my Cleric, and the way I have mine set up, I'll be explaining why I do it. And yeah, this is the first ability, Earth's Retribution. It is a basic ability that transforms into a high damage ability called Discharge. Essentially, this is a filler ability that restores mana. That's how you want to look at it. It also does proc occasionally so that you can just click it into Discharge so that you can hit for a lot of damage without having to use these two abilities. Okay. Right now, I've got it on plus 20% MP restored. Like, if I change this rune, essentially from 180 to 150. So, it's up to you what you want to do. I personally like the plus 20% MP restored because it just restores more MP. Because I'm using this ability to gain MP. That's the general thought process behind it. I want to use this ability so I can use other abilities, essentially, right? So you can also do it on plus 50% multi-hit on hit, which means that it would proc 4 additional times. That's how multi-hit works. So essentially it would just hit more times, which is pretty good. You know, you do more damage. So up to you how you guys want to play this out. But that's the general gist of Discharge. Alright guys, the next ability we're going to talk about is called Judgment Thunder, and that transforms into Divine Punishment. All of these abilities do add staggered gauge damage, which is great. Staggered gauge I'll explain later on. But pretty much the way I have it set up for Judgment Thunder, max 12% damage when there are less targets selected. So pretty much if you're soloing or doing a dungeon, your boss will take 12% more damage from this ability. You can also reduce the MP cost. It costs 120, so it would only cost 100, about 100. And then you can also do minus 10% combat speed on landing. So essentially, it will move 10% slower. I personally dig the damage.
Breaker, huh?
This is what I enjoy using. This is one of the biggest killer abilities that you have. It's pretty much always off cooldown. It does cost 120 MP, and do this while moving. The next ability that we have is called Debilitating Mark. Okay, so Debilitating Mark, essentially what it does is it can
ability is an issue.
And it's by 12%. And then it deals a drop of 1300 damage over 10 seconds, and also does 1100 damage. So this ability is pretty good. It's one of the bread and butter abilities for the rotation when we're talking about the wind abilities. I'm going to get into that later. For now, I've got it on minus 10% defense. The way it works is it adds a 10% wind tolerance in the selection, and also their defense by 10%. So they're taking literally 10% more damage from you. Essentially. You can remove the MP cost if it restores 150 MP. I would not suggest this one. The 20% chance to inflict stun for 3 seconds is pretty good, but I think that the 10% damage defense thing is pretty invaluable when we're talking about doing more damage is pretty awesome. So yeah, that's my reason behind it. And then pretty much the general rotation for this would be debilitating mark, because you're reducing enemy's wind tolerance by 10%, right? And then you would use Judgment Thunder, because it is a wind-based ability, right? So that's the general rule of thumb. That's how it works. I'll show you guys the rotation later, but pretty much use debilitating mark, and then a wind-based ability. Then you can also use another wind-based ability, and pretty much you want to just like blast all your wind-based abilities on top of one another, and that's how it works. You have a summon, which is Divine Aura, which is actually a super badass ability. Set to an AoE skill. When I am in a dungeon, I would change this for plus 100% Divine Aura swing speed. That means it will do more damage faster. And then select target within 4 meters. And this slows
get out of here.
Reduces the movement speed. This one is not really that useful. Unless, of course, like you want to like choose one ability, your abilities to like reduce people's like movement speed and then add another ability. That's really worth it for this one. Changes to AoE skill, essentially you can attack multiple people at the same time, which is super good. So Chain of Torment, essentially at level 12, it does a crap ton of damage. It also does a dot of 2200 damage over 10 seconds. It hits up to 4 enemies within 4 meters on target, with a 20% chance to
Easy
that
peasy.
it cannot hit you for those 3 seconds, which is really, really useful when you are it reduces enemies' burst tolerance by 10%, move speed by 40% for 5 seconds, and 100% chance to land knockdown on NPC targets. So this is very, very useful. That knockdown, by the way, is explaining for PvP, and it's also a mobile ability. So Earth, this is your basic rotation for this one. Chain of Torment, you would use this and then use Condemnation, and I'll go into Condemnation in a moment. Inflicts a slow, 20% chance to inflict stumble. Right? So Chain of Torment, amazing skill, does a shit ton of damage, very, very good. And then yeah, then we've got the next one in order is Condemnation, right? So Condemnation, the way it works, select the target within 20 meters of the Chain of Torment. So you need to use Chain of Torment on this for this ability to proc. Okay, it has a requirement, and it deals 2100 damage, and restores 150 MP, and has a 50% chance to restart its cooldown. This is why you want this ability to level 12 as soon as possible, because essentially the way it works is that you would use Chain of Torment and then use Condemnation. Condemnation has a 50% chance to reset, so if you manage to flip it to allow it to keep resetting, you can literally constantly keep resetting it all the time. And then you're hitting for 2100 while you're, Chain of Torment is doing its dot. You're blasting out a ton of damage, and it's also restoring MP on hit. So it's really, 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 really good. It's definitely one of the most bread and butter abilities in your entire kit for doing a lot of damage consistently. Even if you don't get the coin flip though, it's still fantastic because you get this MP back while you use it. So it's super.
And did you know that thanks to Marathon?
Again, you can go ahead and play with this if you guys want. You can change some of the other abilities to give you MP on hit and then add multi-hit on this. You do have to stand still when you use this ability though. So I would not recommend changing to mobile skill. I think this ability is really, really good the way it is because one, Chain of Torment, like I was talking about earlier, it knocks them down. So even though this is an immobile skill, you've got them knocked down from Chain of Torment. So that's how that works. In the general rule of thumb, it's a very good ability. And the general rule of thumb, again, Chain of Torment into Condemnation. Easy claps. Okay. Now, what we're going to talk about is this other ability real quick, which is called Bolt. Bolt is one of the coolest looking abilities I've seen in quite a while. I have it at level 8 right now, and the reason why I have it at level 8, it has a very big cooldown. It does use a lot of MP, but it does do quite a lot of damage, up to 5,000 damage at level 8, which is kind of nuts. Causes a 20 staggered gauge damage, and it is a charge skill. Okay, so a charge skill, the way that works, essentially you have to stand still and you have to hold down the ability for it to charge all the way up to do the most amount of damage. Okay, I have mine set to a mobile skill because this allows me to move while casting Bolt. I like this more than the 30% skill speed, even though this is useful as well, but I think that being able to move while doing damage, especially for solo content, is invaluable, especially for all of my charge skills, because charge skills, they